With all the controversy going on right now with Russell Brand, with all these allegations with rape, with sexual assault, there is actually someone else who is a very successful, content creator. Many people say that this guy, he's on the right, and a lot of people think that Russell Brand is now, in the past few years, is now right wing. But I also, but this guy though, I came across this online, and it's not been picked up by the mainstream media yet. Um, VoteWatch.com, police investigating Paul Joseph Watson, who used to be on Alex Jones' Infowars. Police investigating YouTuber Paul Joseph Watson following rape allegations made by multiple women. And this was published 2 months ago by VoteWatch.com. So I'm going to go through this stuff here. So it reads, multiple women have accused conspiracy theorist and far-right YouTuber Paul Joseph Watson of rape, with at least one young woman claiming she was drugged by the former Infowars star. Police have today confirmed that they're officially investigating allegations of rape and sexual assault that were first reported to the Metropolitan Police in January 2023. The incidents are reported to have taken place in Wandsworth and relate to 3 female victims. Right. And this is one thing, early on in when I was getting into like this stuff, like, when it comes to like the truth movement and conspiracy theories and what have you, he was one of the people I followed. And I wouldn't call myself an avid follower, I was more, following what Alex Jones did. But I did think that this guy, he made a lot of interesting points. He wasn't as obviously bad as Alex Jones when it comes to all the shouting, the ranting, and raving. I think he did try and become a little bit more as time went on, like Alex Jones, with the ranting and being a bit more over the top. But overall, though, I thought he was all right and he made some interesting points. But as time went on, I did go off him a bit, I must say. And I'm not just saying this because these allegations are out here now, but I did start to go off him, and I just found him. I found him to be very just offensive. I never thought he really meant all the stuff. I'm starting to feel like he didn't mean all the stuff that he was saying. That he was just trying to be controversial, and he didn't really care about when it comes to conservative values. And as time went on, sadly, I realized, I discovered that he actually is quite a racist guy and doesn't seem like a very pleasant person. But with this stuff here, with Vote Watch, so they say Paul Joseph Watson, 41, a YouTuber with over 1.9 million subscribers, who was recently slammed for anti-Semitism after being caught calling Jews to be wiped off the face of the earth. Yes, so that's another thing. It was Byline Times reported on this, and I've got it up here. So, wipe Jews off the face of the earth, racism and anti-Semitic slurs of viral YouTuber exposed. So there was a video that I did come across this about maybe 2-3 months ago. And at first, you might put this down to, well, with AI, it's not really his voice. It's an AI thing. You could say that, but when you get into this stuff though, so recording was confirmed by 3 secondary sources. The Byline Times, who's also been doing their investigation with Dan Wooten as well, they contacted Watson and his lawyers with numerous requests for comment, but received no response. So there you go. And so Joseph Watson could be heard saying, "I really think you should press the button to wipe Jews off the face of the earth." And I won't play this, but it's super, super offensive. Really bad. I mean, he's using the F word, homophobic slur. He's I don't give a shit about Israel and Palestine. I care about white people. Not sand, N word, Jew, P word, F word. Just horrible. Like, what a horrible person. He reminds me a little bit of one of these. It was like a PUA, one of those PUA dating guru type guys. His name, I think it was like Krauser. It might have been like Nick Krauser. He actually reminds me. He sounds a bit like this guy. Proper like far right racist. But the difference is, I think Krauser was more upfront about it and admitted it straight up, to his following. But I mean, this is really bad though. So we get into the stuff though with these allegations when it comes to rape. So it says complaints made to the police against Mr. Watson stretched back to 2020, around the year of pandemic. with one of the alleged victims of sexual assault filing a report with the Metropolitan Police in July of that year. The victim supplied evidence, a preliminary statement, and a video statement. The alleged victim, who is a well-known figure in British politics, interesting, then made contact with multiple women who had been romantically connected with Watson, revealing complaints with a similar pattern of predatory behavior, along with allegations which are not criminal: infidelity, emotional manipulation, narcissistic abuse. Several women put forward allegations of sexual abuse, alleged having their drinks spiked by Watson, and alleged coerced into using Class A drugs. One of the alleged victims also claimed she was racially abused on multiple occasions. There is actually a video here, and I'm not going to play it, but some of the stuff that he's saying, trying to justify guys who have like these rape fantasies. This guy, I mean, he's got some problems, man. He just disgusting. So this well-known figure, though, well-known figure in British politics, the alleged victim. Interesting. Be interesting if we ever find out who this person is, who she is. I'm guessing she's somebody that would be like right wing. Because I don't think you'd be associated with people who are on the left. So it says that VoteWatch have spoken to multiple alleged victims and witnesses, including former girlfriends of Paul Joseph Watson and people close to him who have provided testimonies of his character. As per the request, their identities will remain anonymous while the police investigation into Watson is carried out. Right, interesting. And this stuff then, but this is going back to the police. They've complained back in 2020, but nothing's been done though. Or they've talked, but I'll get into that stuff though. But obviously, he hasn't been arrested, but I will get into that just as I go through this. So there's a first victim. She's known as Emma, an established ex-partner of Paul Joseph Watson. Emma, not her real name though, well-known political activist and commentator, alleges she was violently raped by Watson in 2020, shortly before she made an official complaint to the Met Police. She claims she was emotionally manipulated by Watson, who expressed his desire to start a family with her, offering to move to the country with her and have kids. It seems to be that classic what dudes do, tell the women what they want to hear. She alleges throughout the relationship, Watson was emotionally abusive and manipulative, often having affairs and bullying her with derogatory slurs and demeaning language, while parading other women in front of her while he was whom he was having relationships with. And also was calling up models on Adult Channel Babe Station in her presence, causing significant damage to her mental health. Yeah, there was some video here that is actually recorded, and it's very weird. It's like, and maybe you see there's something about a Nazi salute that maybe it wasn't quite caught on camera, but that's maybe what you wanted one of the women on Babe Station to do. He's like wearing this leather glove, and it's very weird, and he's basically just taking the piss, really. He's like saying, oh, we should find God, but then saying to the women, what's the most dirtiest, filthiest thing you could do? Just very strange video. I don't know why would you want somebody to record it, but so this woman, Emma, though, filed an initial police report relating to an alleged incident in July 2020. A disagreement one evening at a friend's barbecue, Emma and Watson went back to Watson's flat, where she claims he gave her a drink that had been poured into the kitchen away from her sight. She claims that she then became drowsy, and Watson went on to engage in rapey and porn-like sex. She alleges that she said no 2 to 3 times and tried to get Watson to stop, but was forced to perform oral sex and violently pulled back by the legs when she tried to call away. And VoteWatch have here, there's photographic evidence that Emma was in a relationship with Watson. So this would have been a WhatsApp conversation. You see here from Paul Joseph Watson, that looks like a picture, like a selfie, one that he's had on his Twitter page. And you've got here Paul Joseph Watson trying to claim, I'm flying to Brazil on a private jet next month with Alex Jones to meet Bolsonaro. Wanna come? I think that was probably total bullshit. Probably had no chance of that happening. Maybe they tried to make it happen, but it was probably the very slim chance that was going to happen. And there's other stuff here about going on about how he ordered prostitutes and he's quite a seedy kind of dude. Very, and I'm going through this. So stuff like here that he actually spoke to Elon's ex-wife, and he's saying stuff about, oh, I never laid a finger on her, you effing retard. Phone her up yourself if you want. You've let some effing simp ruin everything. Seems to be a lot of emotional blackmail going on here. And then he's actually chatting with her about this. He's just trying to, what typical insecure guys do, build up this sense of self-importance and make out that they're more in demand than what they are. It's I've seen it before. But I mean, for him, it must be a big deal. Oh, I'm this guy now from Sheffield, and I'm chatting to Elon's wife, you know, the richest guy in the world. But whatever, eh? So Emma said she spent time romantically with him for a few months. During this time, he would use similar tactics to Andrew Tate. So I guess that's what they call the lover boy method. You know, the idea of settling down, getting married, moving to the country to start a family. He knew that this was something most leaning women wanted, and would apparently use this often for other girls. He would also float other offers around, and we got into that stuff. Yeah, there was stuff there with private jet, you know, all to satisfy his own ego. So I'll keep going down. He would make the disparaging comments about my body weight and mental health. He would insult me in very underhanded ways, which took a toll on my self-esteem. He isolated me by keeping me alone in his flat while he went out. He felt when he was out with mates, she was the butt of his jokes. It had problem with women aging. He used terms like hit the wall, no legs. Something about Alice Grant from the Brexit Party. I guess he was trying to hit on her. And I did actually look her up. I mean, young, you know, attractive girl, but I think she's been totally out of PJW's league. But going along though, so the stuff here about Michael Heaver, I don't know who he is. I think there was certain people in politics though that kind of, you know, they watched how close they got to him because they didn't want to be seen as like far right, you know. And he even mentions Nigel Farage, you know, as well. That Farage didn't want to be around him. So apparently, so what happened then? She says he gave me a drink, which he poured away from me in another room. After which I remember little. I remember him pushing me down, forcing himself on me as I said no and tried to get away. He seemed to enjoy this and held me down to make sure I couldn't escape. He forcefully grabbed my head, and you can imagine the rest here. He was saying things like, take it, bitch, take it, slut. None of this was consensual. I had never agreed into any sort of role play. I knew that a bit rough was okay, but this was not a bit rough. This was dark, and it made me feel very strange afterwards. And she was saying here about stuff about flashbacks, PTSD. She reported to the police. It was an incident, had a rape checkup scan. I remember looking at the window at the appointment for the first time, noticing how skinny I'd gotten due to his comments and feelings of anxiety produced in me. Just not good at all. She says it's taken a couple of years of therapy to get to the point where I understand what happened to me, and I can now see he was employing Andrew Tate tactics on me. And I see at the start, there's photos there, him and Tate were pally. Other girls have reached out to me claiming they've been drugged also, and have woken up in his bed with no memory of the night before. Clearly they've had sex, but they don't remember consenting. So this is very serious allegations here when it comes to, you know, rape and drugging. And so he was often out Andrew Tate. There's photo here of them having some beer. And this is very disturbing here. Something about he threatened to kill himself and blame it on me in the suicide note. He's threatened other girls too, even getting one of them fired from her job. Jeez, gee whiz. We got into female two, Sarah. So Sarah began dating Watson 4 years ago. Emma provided Vote Watch with the following account. I met Paul Joseph Watson in late 2019. He had messaged me for a few weeks prior to that. We started messaging each other after I spoke with him about Trump. At the time, it was exciting because he was internet famous, and that sort of thing is exciting, I guess. He quickly turned from talking about politics to saying I was cute and wanted to take the conversation to WhatsApp. I was going along with it because it was kind of exciting for me. He encouraged me to meet him in London and offered to pay. So I took the opportunity and he paid for my train ticket. When I met him, he's got quite a depressive, he doesn't seem as happy as he makes out. He makes out he's some sort of traditional man and wants the life where he's in the countryside with a wife, living the trad life. Trad life seems to be a term that he uses a lot, promotes. But the reality is he was living like a depressed teenager, getting up very late, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon one time I stayed there. He drank a lot. He's constantly smoking and drinking. He's in a lot of selfies, like always with a fag in his mouth. He's constantly smoking and drinking. He's basically everything that he sort of takes the mickey out of online. He's a degenerate. He's got no self-respect. He comes across as very unfulfilled. Yes, it seems there's a lot more to this guy than what maybe you would meet the eye just from seeing how he would be on YouTube and Twitter. But I mean, obviously he's very edgy though. But but when you get into this stuff, when it comes to the racism, so he frequently used the P word, would often say the N word and what for Italians. He only seems to perk up when he's had alcohol. He's quite a strange man and a complete opposite to what he portrays online. So she gets into saying, one occasion he pressured me to have sex with him. I said no, but then still relented and obliged. It was shit sex. It was a bit rapey. He seemed to want me to stay like a dead corpse or something. The second time felt rapey too. He seemed to just go as hard as if I wasn't a person who could feel things. I didn't even think of it as sex. It was just him using me. Now, so we get on to the third woman, known as Sophie, not her real name, made official complaint to Metropolitan Police. It's been currently investigated. Watson was interviewed by the police in March. So this is the following statement. So it says, Paul Joseph Watson and I started corresponding in early 2019. At the time, I was a fan of his and the type of conservatism he expressed in his videos, some of which resonated with my own conservative values. I was studying journalism at the time and trying to build a profile, so I was very shocked and flattered when Paul began to take notice of me and began to message me. I was excited to have such a popular YouTube personality as a contact. So getting into this, she says, I stayed at his flat for 45 minutes. He suggested I become a right-wing political commentator and to make extremist political statements during the interview. I was shocked and told him I was not interested in espousing such extreme views and refused to interview. Afterward, he continued to talk online and continued to suggest he would help me with my career, vaunted his influence and massive network, and dangled his lifestyle in front of me. Right. So, and getting into this, so he's saying stuff like, 3 black people came around, admitted that I was racist. They loved it. Yeah, there's just something about this guy, and he never really admitted these things straight up in on Twitter and that. But he found a way of being subtle and being, I guess, very casually racist. And just seems like he's going through this stuff here, just not a good guy. Talking about how he uses the N-word a lot, and just going through this stuff here. So, so Paul had ordered me a lot of alcohol. I became quite inebriated at the time, very fast because I didn't drink alcohol and it was new to me. Paul at the time took my phone and began to text my American friend who was visiting London, asking her to come out to meet us because he wanted to introduce her to his friend Michael Heaver, who was an MEP at the EU at the time. And this stuff with Heaver. So Heaver expressed the desire to leave the bar and return to Paul's apartment because he felt uneasy around his friends on the far right, as he thought they were too extreme. Well, don't hang about him in the first place. Paul and Michael left the restaurant in order to go back to Paul's apartment in Battersea, but they left me at the restaurant alone with his other 2 far right friends. And there's this message here, Paul Joseph Watson. I've seen that photo before of his, on Twitter, the selfie, and he goes, I would just rape you. Just crazy. I mean, what is he going to try and claim he was just joking? Just good grief. This guy is someone else. And just going through this stuff because. So, and another thing with Paul Joseph Watson is saying that he was a big cocaine user. He's been used a lot. And that's one thing he would be very, for the most part, he claims to be conservative against drugs, but then this guy, from what you read, really does like snorting cocaine. Goes on. One individual in particular warned me against Paul, as she claims to know him personally. She told me she believes he is a sociopath and a dangerous person. She also revealed to me that he was once married to a Chinese woman and that he divorced her because he did not want half Asian children. So I don't know, is this him just trying to make a point to be mean or controversial, or is this actually true? I don't know. But going on, so February 8th, he invited me to his apartment, despite the fact he was secretly dating Emma. We were watching a movie and ate some food. He also gave me some alcohol. During this meetup, he was kind and courteous, and I started to have a lot more faith in him, despite I having backed off over the winter, but now it felt like I could trust him again. She says, but when we were in bed, he also asked me if he could rape me, if I wanted to be choked and abused. I immediately objected because it horrified me and told him to stop. I thought it was some sort of sick joke and remember saying something along the lines of, ew, no, I do not, no way. But it was on this particular night that he violently forced me to perform oral sex on him while I was inebriated and holding my hair back. At the time, I was still overwhelmingly confused. So just shocking right here, the stuff. So similar type of stuff, obviously, with allegations that Russell Brand has. You see other more photos here of him hanging around Andrew Tate. She says ferociously anti-Semitic at the time, making jokes about wanting to eradicate Jews from the face of the earth. He routinely encouraged me to say racist things. Going on, so saying you're drinking all night, pressured me to take many cocaine hits and give me a few glasses of wine and beer. We did this for a few hours and slept late at 7 a.m. I woke up to him around 9 a.m. putting a condom on and not asking if I wanted to have sex with him. He just did it. I asked him what he was doing and I said no and tried to hold him back. I remember feeling hazy, drowsy, and incredibly weak with a horrible, painful headache, while always also feeling confused. My inhibitions were incredibly low. I remember saying no, but he did it anyway. He kept going, even though his condom fell off. I remember screaming from pain, but I didn't fight him off because I had taken so much drugs and alcohol, and my mental state was extremely fragile. Good grief. And just going on. I think it was the next day. She says during the night, when he texted me, telling me I should stay away from him because he will hurt me, and that he has already hurt me, and that he warned me. He also told me he was literally insane. I was in a lot of physical pain returning home and was in pain for a long time. She says, at first, I was afraid of coming forward with my story to police as I believed Paul would use his massive audience to tarnish my reputation, humiliate me, destroy my future prospects. So I tried my best to placate him. However, as time went on, my mental state became worse, and she gets on. She was with medication. She had PTSD as well. So it gets here that VoteWatch can confirm that other women have come forward with similar allegations against Watson, including one who claims she was drugged and woke up naked in Watson's bed. Some of these additional women have decided not to go on record or make official police complaints, with one feeling it could derail her life. VoteWatch have contacted the Metropolitan Police, who have provided the following statement. Police are investigating allegations of rape and sexual assault that were first reported to the Metropolitan Police in January 2023. The incidents are reported to have taken place in Wandsworth and relate to 3 female victims. A man aged in his 40s has been interviewed under caution. There have been no arrests. Inquiries continue. So there they go. So that's some pretty shocking stuff right there when it comes to what this guy's like. Because I'd maybe think that maybe he was like you can't really say he was a closet racist. I would maybe definitely have him down as maybe somebody that was racist, that would say offensive racist shit. But somebody that was a full-on like rapist, I didn't have Joseph Watson down as that. But this is very worrying, these allegations right here. Only one thing I would say is, from going back up to this, that there was you've only can find one article on this, one website, and it was from 2 months ago. And I was just curious about, how, are these allegations definitely credible? Because it's not been in any of the mainstream media. It's not been on Daily Mail, Guardian, or anything like that, or not even any other outlets that I could find. But there is some stuff there. And if I'm looking at it, could these things be doctored? Maybe when it comes to these conversations here. But overall, it just doesn't look good. And then you get to the audio. You have to check out the audio in Byline Times. I'll leave the article for that as well. And they said that, they've said Byline Times contacted Watson as lawyers and they got no response. And also what I found very interesting with Paul Joseph Watson is he's not as active as he used to be on Twitter. I've got his Twitter here. He always used to be having a rant and posting stuff on Twitter every day, but he doesn't seem to do that now. Now, he does have a video, just looking here. He has posted one on Russell Brand, which is now, funnily enough, similar type allegations that he himself has got against him with these women. But he's posted a video when it comes to Brand. Brand's the subject of coordinated political attack with baseless conspiracy theories. All just this mind wank. It's just the stuff that, the people on the right want to hear. It's all bollocks, really. Okay, there's a little bit of agenda there with the Russell Brand allegations, don't get me wrong, but that's not to say they're untrue, though. But he doesn't seem to post that much anymore. If you go through the stuff, it really just seems to be repost after repost after repost, or then maybe posting a link to his video. He doesn't seem to post a lot. Okay, he's posted one here, but he used to post frequently, like every day. He could be tweeting maybe 5 to 8 times a day. You don't see that much now. It just seems to be repost after repost after repost, just going through his stuff here. And it's interesting because another similar person who had allegations against him as well, who doesn't really post much now on Twitter and just reposts things, Dan Wooten. He's another one that just does that stuff for the most part. I don't think he does tweet his own stuff anymore. He just reposts stuff, from like the GBU's channel. So I don't know if that's something a lawyer, is advised advise them to go low, keep quiet on this stuff, or maybe it's just Paul Joseph Watson smart enough to realize I can't risk getting myself in trouble, so I need to just go low, keep a low profile. But overall, it just doesn't look good with this stuff, with these allegations. I'm surprised that no one else has picked up on this, but I thought, well, I'm just going to do this and step up and report on it. Obviously, it's allegations, so he's allegedly raped women. He's allegedly drugged them as well. But we see, ultimately, he has not been arrested yet, but they said that the police have brought him in, but if they've not found enough evidence, to arrest him, but if it's an ongoing investigation, you'd like to think that if this is true, what's happened, the victims, that justice will be served. But overall,